here we are in the middle of 2023. It's, July here, end of July. And so far, as of right now, besides what we've seen in the last couple of weeks, rates are near the highest we've seen them ever. And a lot of people expected that interest rates would start coming down, this spring. They haven't done that. Matter of fact, we've had some kind of negative things that have pushed up mortgage rates. So your prediction, from what it sounds like, is we're going to continue to see these high rates until the spring of 2024. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I believe that that's what is going to happen, but not because the rates are this high right now. That doesn't mean that it's a great opportunity to buy, right?
Sure.
Because what we want is to be able to buy a property and have this property in a price that we can afford.
All right, welcome back to Market Shares. I'm your host, Tony Blodgett, and today I have back with me Jackie Madche. Jackie, welcome back to Market Shares. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be here. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. It's the middle of summer here in the Pacific Northwest, and it doesn't really get much better than this. This is like the best weather we're going to have for the next 9 months, so I'm enjoying it.
Tell me about it. We have the best weather in the country.
Yeah. For a minute. Well, so yeah, I wanted to have you back and talk a little bit about, how you're dealing with, the market that we're in. A lot of people like to say it's a challenging market, and I would argue that it probably is a bit of a challenging market. But, look, there's ways of, persevering and finding solutions to deal with the market. And then I want to get some of your predictions on what you think the market's going to do as we move forward. And then I'll share with you some of mine. How does that sound?
That sounds good.
All right. So let's talk about your business. So I know you work with a lot of first-time home buyers, but you also work with a lot of investors. You kind of run the whole spectrum of different clients. So maybe just give us an overview of, how the summer's going. What are some of the things that your successes that you're having in this market right now?
Well, like you said, it's a challenging market, but also it's a great opportunity because there is situations that a lot of people cannot afford a home right now. People are scared what is happening with the economy, what will be happening if I buy a house. It's an awesome time. Seattle and Washington has a very strong economy. And I believe there is a lot more opportunity. We have great programs. We have the 2-1 buy down that reduce your interest rate a couple of points.
Right.
And I believe that is a great time because before you used to have 10 people buying a property, right? Now sellers wants to sell, I mean. That's the time. That's the time to take the opportunity. With the programs that we have, the market is not so busy. And in a state that the sales prices are increasing so much, properties are increasing in value, so it's a good time to buy. And to me, I'm excited to share that not only with first-time home buyers, but investors.
Yeah.
The rental market right now is very hard. People need to have a place where to live. So you have the opportunity to buy a property, and your renters are paying for your rent. What else can you ask for that?
Yeah. Well, it is an interesting time right now because, overall number of transactions is down, but inventory is even worse. And so we kind of have the situation where home values continue to go up, even though there isn't a lot of transactions happening because, inventory is so low. What are your thoughts on inventory? Do you think we're going to see more inventory come on the market? And if we do, from where?
Well, it is hard because everything is more expensive than it used to be, right?
Right. So
also, nobody wants to sell homes when they have the interest rates so low that used to be.
Right.
So for sure, we're not going to see a lot of people putting houses in the market because they don't want to lose the interest rate that they had.
Right.
So in that way, I don't believe that we're going to have a lot of inventory. I believe new construction, yes, there is new construction coming, but it's not the same that used to be in the past. There again, builders are worried how much money are going to be making in each property. I believe that what is going to help us with this is the changing in zonings that is happening in Washington State. Because before, you cannot build ADU
Yep.
or a cottage,
Yep.
right? But now they change, the rules are so much better. So that's a big incentive.
Yeah, the zoning changes help a lot. I mean, it doesn't create new homes though, right? It gives people the opportunity to maybe build an ADU and then rent that out. So I think for homeowners, it's a great opportunity to improve the value of their current investment, bring in some rental income, create, opportunity to have an extended family come live with you because you can build that cottage or that ADU, but it doesn't create new single family inventory that's going to go on the market.
Well, no, I don't agree all the way with that because, for example, I have somebody. We bought this property. This property is in Ballard. It's a corner lot.
Right.
This person have 3.25% rate, right? But now with the zoning changing, now refinance, we got all this cash out, and now this person create a ADU.
Right.
That the way how they got the permits is a condo. So
Oh,
now
right.
this person can sell it.
Yes.
And now that property went from being 1.2 to now she had this condo that she can sell. And this property now 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom in Ballard. She's going to sell this property for $780,000.
Right. So using the changes to the zoning law to be able to get the permit to build the auxiliary dwelling and then condoize the property so that you can separate that one piece off. And that is a great strategy, that you mentioned. I wonder how many people, would want to, because there was a process to condo. And actually, I started this conversation with Anton, who's been on the podcast a few times. He's a real estate investor and real estate agent. I was going to have him back on and talk a little bit more about this because that's something that he's seen a lot of as well. And I'm no expert at zoning laws or the condoization process, but you're right. There is some opportunities there to utilize the current zoning, build the property, and then once it's built, then you can do the condo process and be able to separate that piece off.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a really great time as an investor to be able to buy a property. And know all the places in Washington State you can divide now the properties. But it's a lot of properties that you just buy it. If you are lucky enough, you can buy 2 properties.
Yeah.
And now those 2 properties is going to make you 6 townhouses. And it's a great situation.
Yeah. I do like that they're finally changing the zoning to more high density, opportunities because we need that, we definitely need that.
Not only that, but now the permits are approved so much faster. I know all this because my husband is a builder.
Okay.
We see how the transactions are happening so much faster than used to be. So I believe it's a great opportunity. I believe that it's going to be like that probably until the middle of this year, the beginning of the spring. I believe that when the interest rates are going to reduce, and then I believe that we're going to have a really, really busy market all over again.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about interest rates and the timing of it. Here we are in the middle of 2023. It's July here, end of July, and so far, as of right now, besides what we've seen in the last couple of weeks, rates are near the highest we've seen them ever. And a lot of people expected that interest rates would start coming down, this spring. They haven't done that. Matter of fact, we've had some kind of negative things that have pushed up mortgage rates. So your prediction, from what it sounds like, is we're going to continue to see these high rates until the spring of 2024. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I believe that that's what is going to happen, but not because the rates are this high right now. That doesn't mean that it's a great opportunity to buy, right?
Sure.
Because what we want is to be able to buy a property and have this property in a price that we can afford. That is a good deal, right? We have a program that we can reduce your interest rate 2 points below market rate, and those 2 points is going to take you to next spring. So you buy the property, keep the low payment, and as soon the market starts getting better, your property is increasing in value. A lot of times you don't have the money to put the 20% to avoid the mortgage insurance, right? But now, if the property, you buy a property in good price right now, a couple of years from now, probably the property has increased to the point. Then now you can refinance, not only reduce your interest rate, but remove mortgage insurance. So it's exciting time to buy.
Yeah. Well, I think the two get, when interest rates are high, there's less demand. And when there's less demand, there's more opportunity for those that are ready to buy, right? So I think that's what you're saying is there's huge opportunity for those that can kind of have a long-term vision of what that property can be for them, acquire it now without all the competition, make sure that it's a good deal, take advantage of the new zoning laws, and then maybe add a 2-1 buy down on there or even a 1-year buy down, just get the interest rate a little bit lower, more affordable today, and then restructure that mortgage at some point in the future.
Yeah, then you have a property that is a big lot, and you have a lot of equity, withdraw money out of that property and build a small cottage. So now the payment that you used to have is going to be much lower because now you have somebody that is paying big money to live in Seattle and help you with your mortgage.
Yeah.
So it's a good opportunity if you find the right way to do it.
Yeah. So my thought on interest rates is, I'm still actually pretty optimistic that they're going to start coming down. I mean, we've seen that in the last couple weeks with, the CPI read that came out for June came out. I think it was on July 13th, and and the PPI, the producer price index. I mean, I'm going to do an episode here in the near future. We're going to kind of show the graphs on what's been happening with the inflation numbers, and it has to come down just with the rate of inflation coming down as quick as it has. I mean, I still think that the Fed is, I think the Fed's a little bit off the rocker, to be honest with you. I mean, they keep talking about raising rates again, which they're going to do. They're going to raise rates at least one more time, maybe 2 more times. But I think they got it wrong. I think they're going to be very, they're going to make sure that inflation is not only down, but is never coming back, at least in the near future, which I think is actually going to be, potentially damaging to the market, not the housing market per se, but just, the stock market and the economy in general. I don't think that we need it at this point. And I think they look at a lot of kind of lagging indicators. But all that to be said, it's my belief that maybe we don't get rates into like the low 5s by the end of the year, but I definitely think we could touch, the low 6s, high 5s by the end of the year. And I think you're right. I think we hit that kind of lowest point by the spring, end of the first quarter. I don't think we see a lot of pickup in things until the spring, but I think interest rates will start coming down through the second half of the year here. But I think, to get those buyers, to get those sellers to want to sell their home who have a really low interest rate, which is like 80% of the people who hold a mortgage today, rates are going to have to be in the 5s at least for them to consider getting rid of a 3.5% rate to become a move-up buyer, which is going to free up that inventory for those entry-level buyers. So I think you're right. I think it starts picking up momentum first quarter, second quarter of 2024. But I bet we see a little bit lower interest rates as the year goes on.
Well, the economy they need to fix this because the housing market is very important in the economy, right?
Right.
And we cannot keep this housing market going higher rates and higher rates. This is going to really hurt the economy. And they gotta go down. We'll see how fast they go down, but definitely they're going to reduce. It's not going to be 2.8 like it used to be.
No.
I don't believe that we'll see that anymore. But rates are not only rates. When people talk about rates, yes, maybe you have a higher payment, correct? But if you are able to afford a higher payment, there are other things to take in consideration. You're going to be reducing all the interest that you pay in your income. That's a big tax deduction. Not only that, but what money is going to give you better return? The real estate.
Right.
So if you're able to have a payment that you can afford, you should get into the house.
Right.
Then talk to your accountant and find out what are the benefits to have a home. And I assure you that the interest rate is not so important.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, once you own a home, I mean, chances are with the price of homes today, you're going to be exceeding the standard deduction. In most cases, I would think, with the amount of interest that you pay, you add your property taxes in there, some other itemization things. I mean, there's less itemized deductions you can take, but I think most homeowners in the price range of homes today are going to find themselves exceeding the standard deduction. So you're absolutely right. And you can always restructure that payment later, right? And get that payment down. If you can afford it today, you can absolutely afford it when rates come down, and you can restructure your loan. So
yeah, because now when you refinance it next time, if you were able to afford this interest rate, when comes the time to refinance, guess what? Now you're not going to pay your mortgage in 30 years. Now you're going to be able to refinance to 15 years mortgage.
Yeah. And I think that's, a lot of people don't think about the opportunities to accelerate the payoff of your home. We think about it today. We're actually seeing quite a few borrowers that are doing debt consolidation loans right now. Believe it or not, even with interest rates where they're at, there's still a lot of families that have a lot of debt, and they could actually benefit from a not only blended, household interest rate perspective, meaning that your low mortgage interest rate, but when you look at your cars, your credit cards, and your other installment loans, your blended rate might be quite a bit higher than most people think. But more than that, when you consolidate your debt together, what you typically do is you can save, depends on how much debt you have, obviously, but you can save on your monthly payments. But if you took that same payment you've been paying and apply it to your mortgage and just keep making the same payment you've been making, even though the interest rate's higher, you're significantly lowering the term of your mortgage, which is your point. You can do the same thing when if you purchase a home today, refinance in the future, lower your payment, but continue to make that higher payment, or even go to a 15-year or a 20-year mortgage and keep your payment close to what you're used to. Man, there isn't a better retirement plan than to pay off your home, right?
Okay, so listen to this. I have this client. They have 5 cars in the family. 5 cars. You know how cars are so expensive now, right?
Are they all finance cars?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Each car payment is between $2,500 to $2,800.
What kind of cars are these?
Oh, there are big, beautiful trucks, trust me.
Okay.
$72,000 cars.
Okay.
I'm talking to this person, say, do you realize how much money you spend in a month? So we sit down, okay, yes, it is not good to have this amount of debt in cars, right? The cars depreciate, you don't get anything. In the end, the money is gone. Okay, so now we refinance, we pay $100,000 that they have in debts, plus the cars that they have, right? Now, all this money that they save a month, now the kids can buy homes.
How much money did they save a month by doing a refinance?
They between the credit cards and the car payment, they save like $12,000 a month.
Oh, gee. Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. Well, I think it's kind of silly when people only focus on the interest rate. This is why working with a mortgage advisor is so important, because the average consumer would just simply look at, like, it's kind of like reading the headlines and thinking you read the news. It just doesn't work that way. There's more details that you have to understand. And if you just looked at the interest rate versus your current rate and said, oh, there's no benefit to refinancing, that's not really taking into consideration the whole picture. And besides debt that people need to potentially look at consolidating, they also have to look at, when do they want to be, what's their freedom point? When do they want to have their mortgage paid off? What other planning do they need to do for the future? So if they do plan on retiring at some point, they're going to be on a lower fixed income. How do we help them get prepared for that moment in time? And you know what? A little bit different interest rate isn't the deciding factor on whether or not you should consider restructuring your mortgage, or, to your point, leveraging some of the equity that's in your home. There's a lot of equity in people's homes right now, and there's a lot of good things that they could do with it, but it's just sitting there idle. I mean, what's the rate of return on equity? 0. There's 0 rate of return. So what could you do with that money today to help offset the maybe higher interest rate you might pay?
Absolutely. Real estate is always the best way to put your money to work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you have equity and you have debts, pay them. If you have equity and you want to get wealthier, buy another property, rent it, somebody else is going to pay it, and in the end, you're going to have good money to retire.
Yeah. All right. So let's shift gears a little bit as we wrap this up. So loan officers watch this podcast. You're a loan officer. You're out there. I know that you've talked to me a little bit about some of the things that you're working on from a marketing perspective. I know you do a radio spot, right?
Yes.
Talk about that for a second. What's that?
It's pretty cool actually because I do it once a week and it's with the Latino radio. And it's nice because I'm able to help people to give them information what is to buy a home. What are the goods, what is the bads, how you can get approved. It's educating, a lot of education. I have done it now for a year and a half.
Do you do that in Spanish?
Yes.
Okay.
In Spanish. And what is cool is people can reach me and they can ask questions while we are doing the program. So it's cool. There are situations I cannot tell the person the answer.
Like live?
Right there,
Like they can be live and ask
Yes,
questions? Oh,
yes,
cool.
Yeah. So if somebody call, and now people know that I'm doing it. So they call before ahead to be able to answer the question. But I answered maybe 3 or 4 questions. And it's nice. So it does very well for me with the Latino community. I have all the times people calling me, so that's nice.
That is cool. Okay, so you're doing the radio show. I love that. You also talked about doing some first-time homebuyer classes and educating investors as well to some of these opportunities. Maybe speak to what your plans are there.
Well, I'm planning to do a class, and this is going to be very cool because you can go and have a good drinks. I'm going to do this class in a tavern in Ballard.
Okay.
People can come over and enjoy a couple of drinks, and we're going to be answering all the questions for buying or selling or how to invest in real estate. So that's fun.
Yeah. Well, look, I think that we're in a market where you never know who's going to need your services. And if you don't put yourself out there by doing events like what you're doing, you're not going to find those people, And so I love whenever, a loan officer or a real estate professional or together maybe can get in front of a group of people, whether it be first-time home buyers or investors or a combination of both. What you find is that there's a lot of people who do have questions and they just don't know who to ask or what to ask. There's people that know they should be getting ready to buy a home, but they don't know what steps to take. And if you can get them in a room and then talk through the process with them, it does inspire people to action. And so not only is it good for your business, it's good to help the community have opportunities to get educated on what we do for a living, what steps they can take. And some people just need to have, a reason to show up, and then, they wouldn't reach out individually and call you. Maybe they're embarrassed, but they'll come to an event where there's other people and then they can learn there and then they can build that relationship.
Well, yeah, it's good because a lot of people think that to buy a house is something that is hard, scary, and very complicated. Really true is that if you sit down, you have good information and you have a good communication with your loan officer, it's very simple. And the best thing to do is always write questions. You got questions because now what is going to happen, and tell me this is not true.
Okay.
When you're going to buy a house, right, and you get ready to buy a house, and then you tell your friends, oh, I'm going to buy a house, everybody tells them, oh, this is stories.
Everyone's an expert.
Oh, yeah. And everybody tells them, no, you should not do that. Or this is, oh, watch out. It's not, okay? And people doesn't need to believe me. It's just read and get educated about it. But the best thing when I teaching to somebody, I always tell them, people are going to come over and tell you all these things. Don't worry about that. Here, read this, get educated, and call me with all the questions.
Yeah.
No matter if you got 20 questions, well, don't call me every hour. But
yeah.
Put it
Make a list. Make a list.
and call me. But I love to teach classes.
Yeah. No, I think it's a great way to do it. I think more loan officers should consider doing that. I think, unfortunately, some people are just nervous about getting in front of a group of people, or they've never done it before, so they don't know what to think or how to do it. There's so many resources that can help you with this idea. But I'll promise you this: if you're a loan officer or a real estate agent and you've never done an event, here's one thing that you can be 100% assured of, is that you know more about the home buying process than the person in the audience does. So you're going to be an expert. You may not know everything. You may not even know every answer to every question they may have, right off the top of your head, but that's okay. You can say, hey, that's a great question. I want to double check that. I'll get back to you. So don't be nervous about doing an event like that, because it truly is, I think, one of the best ways to, in a market like this, to prospect and get new opportunities, meet new people, is to do some sort of an event. And I think people should do them often, once a month or something is probably not a bad idea.
It's good because, and to tell you the truth, a lot of things I learned something new.
Yeah.
Somebody come over with a question that maybe I didn't thought about that. Most of the time I know the answers.
Right.
But sometimes I don't.
Well, sometimes people come up with really creative ideas, or they've heard about some sort of an idea, and they're like, well, how I've heard about this. How do you make that work? And you're like, that's a really good question. Let's research that. And then you can come up with something, and then every once in a while, that's an idea that you can then share with other people in your next class, or whatever. So a lot can come from it. I'm glad you're doing that. What else? Anything else that's working for you that you're doing in this market to get out there and get in front of more clients?
Well, I try to get in communication with clients that I know that they have been thinking to sell, or they have mortgages that they need to consolidate. Like I have an investor that had like 12 properties. And out of 12 properties, 12 mortgages. It's too many.
Yeah.
Okay, so consolidating and calling people, just giving some advice. More than anybody, a piece right now to everybody to let them know Seattle, Washington is an awesome place to invest.
Yeah.
Don't be worried about your property. You want to sell your property, I'm pretty sure you can get a good price for your property. It's just keeping communication.
So you're just staying in touch with your database. You're just making calls out, and hello, like that's what everyone should be doing. Yeah, well, cool.
It's no secret.
There's no secret. There's no secret. Well, Jackie, I appreciate you coming back on to Market Shares. It's always good to catch up and talk. I love your ideas. We're going to see who's right about interest rates as things progress here. But look, I think for all of us that are 100% committed to the mortgage industry, it doesn't matter what the interest rates are doing. It really doesn't. We're going to be here to serve and advise our clients regardless of what the market's doing. There may be a few less opportunities that are just flowing our direction, so we have to work harder to go find those opportunities and get in front of those people. But at the end of the day, the market is what the market is, and we're just here to serve our clients, right?
Absolutely. We're happy. Thank you for having me. I always enjoy talking to you.
It's always fun. Well, you guys, hope you enjoyed this episode of Market Shares. If there's any topics you'd like us to cover, please leave them in the comments down below. Sometimes we do awesome interviews and conversations with loan officers and top producers like Jackie. Other times, we just give market updates or Q&A on some things that you might want to know about the industry. Let us know what's important to you, and also share this podcast with your friends and family, especially those that are in the mortgage and real estate industry. And of course, it always helps us if you give us a thumbs up, like and subscribe to the channel, and tune in next Friday for a fresh episode. Until then, take care.